Well, that's jitty bang bang. First and foremost, I'm a brat. Second off, I'm a disobedient avocado. Let me tell you. I remember back in my Tinderella days when Tinder still had like that Snapchat feature. I'm really telling my age here. This is a long time ago. It must have been 2014. One of the first times I ever got hit on that app, it was a man telling me he wanted to paint me green and spank me like a disobedient avocado. And that will forever be the best pickup line I've ever heard in my entire life. Sorry. I don't encourage you to match it. Don't match that energy. I don't need that energy in the chat, but that's just how I feel. I feel like a very disobedient, bratty avocado right now. I finally read the Gospel of John. I'm very proud of myself for doing it. Cool. Walked away with more questions than I did answers. Not as cool. And the entire time, my main takeaway was you can either believe Jesus because you want to believe Jesus, or you can believe Jesus because he did a bunch of good things, or you can just not believe in Jesus at all. And if you don't believe in Jesus at all, you're going to hell. Have fun. Cool. The second thing that stood out to me the most about the Gospel of John was our lovely little friend, Judas. I identified with Judas more than anybody in that book. That makes me feel like garbage, especially after committing so much of my life to studying the daylights out of the book, to praying, to trying so actively to understand who Jesus is, who God is, what the Holy Spirit is, what our purpose is, what the purpose of the Bible is, how Christianity influences daily life and other religions, and what the relationship with other religions is. Like, I have truly done my best at dedicating my life to understanding Jesus. I have yet to properly wrap my head around Jesus. And I don't know if that's ever a possibility, but I talk to people who so confidently can tell me who Jesus is and what the relationship with Jesus is like. And I view it with my eyes and hear it with my ears as being shallow, but to them it's so fulfilling. And I am so envious. And then my boss kept telling me that I'm too impatient and I want all the perks of Christianity without doing all the work. And in that moment, I felt my insides implode because I felt so misunderstood and I felt so unseen, because that feels like the opposite of what my journey has been. And then he told me, and he flipped some advice I'd given him right back on me, and he told me to sit down in my room, pull up a chair, and pretend that Jesus was in the chair and tell him everything and anything I wanted to tell him. But I told him I had a tough time with that exercise because I was afraid of two things. One, what Jesus would say in return, and two, Jesus not speaking to me at all. And I tried the exercise yesterday, and Jesus did not speak to me at all. If anything, I just admitted to the fact that I am Judas, and I don't think I was ever selected to be a Christian. And maybe that's why I wrestle so much. Maybe that's why my name means bitter pledge. Because my mama dedicated me to you, and now we're stuck with each other, even though we didn't want to be stuck with each other. But I understand that's not how the spiritual bondages work, or commitments or covenants work. I have to make the personal decision for myself. But I want to be a brat. I want to not submit until I have a reason to submit. And I keep asking Jesus to encounter me, and I'm being met with nothing. Which leads me to think, like, God is real, but God isn't good. Because I have no problem believing that God is real. There's a reason we all exist. There had to be a creator to make creations. But the Bible explains the creator as being a loving God, an all-knowing, omniscient, whatever, omnipotent, whatever, God who loves me and has good plans for me, plans to prosper me and not harm me, and that there's a heaven to expect one day, and all this stuff. But the reality I live doesn't match what I'm being told, which seems to be a common theme in my life, where everybody keeps telling me they have my best interest at heart, but they only have their best interest at heart, and I am a pawn at them getting their best interest. So who am I to think that God himself isn't using me as a pawn, that religious institutions weren't using me as a pawn, that the government isn't using me? And now I sound like I have a tin hat on, but I trust Nobody. I am surrounded by liars, and who's to say that God himself isn't a liar? So I'm just going to choose to be a brat until somebody gives me a reason to submit. When you yourself decide to encounter me, I'll submit. But until you do, you're not real. And if you are, you're not cool. And if you're not cool, why should I respect you, let alone follow you? Encounter me. And at this rate, to be fair to Jesus, I don't know what a proper encountering would look like. It could not depend on a person. Like a person telling me that Jesus told me to tell you the following wouldn't be enough. Would not be enough. Because I've had people prophesy over me and be like, Jesus wanted me to tell you that you've never been alone and that you'll never be alone and that your testimony is going to bring so many people to Christ. That is the most generic thing that you could tell anybody. In the moment, it was like, oh, how nice to hear. But I was also like petrified of hearing that message because it was in a group of women and I felt like 80 strange people were looking at me receive this message. It was very uncomfortable. So again, I don't want to depend on people to be how I encounter Christ. I also don't want it to be a feeling. I don't want to be driving down the road and I have to pull over because I just felt this overwhelming peace. You have any idea how easily I'm able to manipulate my own brain? Please. I've been gaslighting myself for a year and a half at my job only to find out, no, my feelings were valid all along. So, I'm learning every day to trust my gut instinct. But I haven't mastered that. So I can't depend on a feeling to be my encounterment with Christ. It would have to be like this. Like I remember a couple days ago, I was on the fence and I was really asking Jesus for an encountering, and I felt in my heart like today's the day I'm gonna feel encountered. And I know you shouldn't put the Lord your God to the test, but I was doing it because I'm a brat, and I'm not a traditional Christian. And right now I don't even think I am a Christian because like who are you? And sorry, I got distracted by my mom's tone of voice. It's very high pitched, very penetrating, very high frequency, very annoying, Maria. But anyway, the Hail Mary I've been encountered sign was I was gonna go watch Johnny Knoxville in theaters with a man that I am dating, and I had told Jesus, like, if you are real, Johnny Knoxville himself will say my name on screen. And needless to say, we did not go watch the movies that night, so I couldn't tell anything, and I haven't gone to the movie since, so I can't tell if Johnny Knoxville says Giselle, because what are the odds, right? What are the odds? It would feel like the most specific to me situation, and I wasn't able to make that happen. So either Jesus isn't real or he was telling me not to put him to the test, but at the same time, like, you want me to have a relationship with you, and then in John it says, if you don't believe me just off faith alone, then believe me by my works. Work in my life, because I'm not going to go based off the works in this book. A man wrote this book, several men wrote this book, and again, I have trust issues with men. So encounter me personally, please. Do you now understand what I mean about the high-pitched voice? Anyway, anyway, I'm frustrated. That's enough of a video. Hopefully you hear my heart and not my words. But right now, I can't identify as a Christian. I'm so mad at Jesus. I'm so mad at God. I don't think God is good. I don't think Jesus is God. And until someone can prove it to me, I am interested in religion. I am interested in Christianity. I myself am not a Christian. I myself do not follow Christ. I myself am very skeptical about the whole thing. And that is my current feelings until I am personally encountered by Christ. Trust me, you guys will be the first people to know, probably, that Jesus spoke. But Jesus has every opportunity in this very video to do something, say something, but he hasn't. So, I'll continue making videos, and I might still talk about God and stuff, because like I said, I'm still interested in God and Jesus, but I'm no longer doing it to like convince myself that I'm a bad person for not believing it anymore and finding reasons to believe. So feel very hypocritical continuing to wear this. So I'm sorry to disappoint anybody, and if you've been watching because you're like, wow, a fellow Christian, not me. I quit. I quit a lot of things. I'm mentally quitting a lot of things. I don't know what life looks like now, to be fair. I don't know what life without a rule book or a manual looks like. It could just mean that I started sleeping with a bunch of folks, if I'm being 100% real. And I started doing a bunch of drugs, and I stopped caring about my neighbor, and I stopped feeling bad about it. And right now that sounds really liberating. I was going to do that anyway as a Christian, but with guilt, right? So, sorry to disappoint, but I am no longer a Christian. I am a brat. Bye.